Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Grant Napear Show.
This is the Grant Napear Show with Doug Christie.
Well, something else with all these guys, we just talked about KD and DeMarcus in his recovery, Clay in recovery. A lot of these guys are going through recovery. One way they're going to do it, or could do it, is with cryotherapy.
Make them say,
Back here on Sports 1140 KHTK, Jason Ross, Doug Christie.
Yes, sir.
As we roll along to Lay's Baseball coming up here just over an hour from now. And again, all guests are coming to you via the Fire Wings hotline. Try one of their delicious flavors of wings today, Fire Wings. Just wing it. Anxious about this. A little different here because we got several athletes that we just talked about, free agents that are going under major injury in their recovery. And you know, Doug, as an athlete that's a lot about sports is recovery.
Yes, sir.
And how quickly you can get back out on the court, the diamond, the football field, whatever it might be. And to help talk a little bit about that and some of the benefits that you might see now and certainly in the future is the CEO of Cryo Innovations and the founder as well. That's Keith Scheinberg joining us here on KHTK. Keith, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. I'm actually fascinated by this. I know Doug is as well, about just this whole cryo innovation, the cryotherapy that you guys have, and just the whole process. But as we start this, what do you say are the true benefits of going through something like this?
So, you know, what cryo is an ice bath on steroids, right? You got 3 minutes instead of a miserable 20, dunked in very, ice water, which is real wet. Cryotherapy is a dry, cold, but just, condensed, doing pretty much the same thing as what an ice bath would normally do for athletes.
When you get into something like this for the layman out there, talk about the ability to refresh the body. You move blood around and help your body to rejuvenate.
Yeah, so what cryo does is it puts your body into a fight or flight mode and kind of rushes all the blood out of your extremities to your core. In sense, your body thinks it's going to die. And it sounds kind of weird, but in a healthy way, as soon as you get out, all that blood rushing back to your extremities is fully oxygenated and purified. So it, in terms of inflammation, it will reduce it dramatically. In fact, you could probably, as you know, you work out, your tissue's tearing, your body presents this inflammation and cocoons the injury to help heal. That inflammation is not always, in sense, good. So what cryo does is after the workout, you get into the cryo machine for 3 minutes at a negative 220, negative 230 degrees Fahrenheit, and it reduces that inflammation and prevents it from forming. That's the reason why a lot of athletes have moved from ice bath or, just to get that type of inflammation reduced as much as possible in these 3 minutes. It just accelerates that muscle repair and any sort of damages you're doing to your body when you're working out and strenuous workout, particularly. It strips the lactic acid and it just all in all relieves pain. The pain from working out, that soreness, that tenderness. After your workout, if you do a cryotherapy session, you could walk out of the cryotherapy session like nothing happened. It's a really cool effect. It does an endorphin release. So you get that runner's high, so to speak.
So, Keith, is this done, I don't know if there's more success off of injuries, like you're talking about reduced swelling, or just as maintenance for athletes or for others that are interested?
Yeah, it is. It's a maintenance and it's also recovery. So, besides just the sports, you've got fibromyalgia and all these other ailments that cryo helps with, rheumatoid arthritis. But in terms of the maintenance of an athlete, and I think the best way to explain this is, those athletes are like, your car, your $1.5 million a year car. Are you going to put, the crappiest gas in that car? No, you're going to put the best gas in it because you don't want anything to happen to the engine. So in terms of that analogy, this is the best gas you can get to prevent something from happening to your very expensive athlete. So a lot of teams are, requiring their athletes to do it now.
So when you So that's the prehabilitation. What about the rehabilitation with a guy, for instance, we'll use Kevin Durant, who you
Right.
get Achilles surgery, and his workouts are a little different now. You're doing toe taps and,
Yep.
different things like that. Is this something that a injured athlete can get help from as well?
Absolutely. It increases the tissue, the repair. It speeds the process up. So, in sense, you want to repair that tissue, and you want to get it oxygenated, and this is the way to keep that blood flow and that oxygenation at its utmost peak, for that type of repair.
And who have you seen? I mean, obviously, I'm guessing, Keith, that plenty of athletes are involved in this, but knowing the way this world is, are there influencers and actors and others that are involved in this as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the biggest one, is LeBron. I think LeBron James is one of the biggest advocates for cryotherapy. I mean, I think you can, Google him and the first images show up are, of him in a cryo chamber. Steph Curry's come out, a lot of the big boys. Kobe Bryant was one of the first ones, I think, that really kind of, obviously when he was playing, this was a big thing for him, to use cryotherapy to recover. So, but there's a lot of athletes that, you've got, Novak Djokovic, he does he's a big lover of cryotherapy. He's the number one tennis player rated at this point, I think. You got, just a lot of Cristiano Ronaldo, he's got one in his house. The Arsenal team, the whole soccer team, they require their players to use it after practices and stuff.
So when you talk about the ability to have one in your home, I've been to different places. I've seen where they had rooms and different things. How did you guys go about the ability to shrink it down and get it in such a condensed size? It sounds like it's something that, it might be a bit expensive, but the ability for the average person to have this type of technology at their disposal is fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. And it is expensive. Don't get me wrong. These machines are not cheap at all. It's not like a mobile version or like a home version. This is the commercial version that they're putting in their houses. We just outfitted actually Dan Bilzerian's house. Not an sports athlete, but does show you kind of like the higher end celebrities can obviously afford a machine like this, which is range from $50,000 to $60,000. But in terms of that, in terms of an athlete putting it in their house, it's just convenience for them. It's not where they have to walk into a public, cryotherapy place and do some cryo if their team doesn't have one. So, for them, it's worth its weight in gold. The question is, realistically, if you can't play the next day, or if you are injured because of a pulled something that could have possibly been prevented by doing a cryotherapy session, or minimized, I should say, how much is that worth to these athletes? This is a one shot done. You can't play for one game. That's a pretty big loss for the team and themselves.
Yeah, this is really interesting. So we got to get you two, Doug. One for home and one for the studio here.
Yeah. I used to be an ice bath guy.
Where do you want us to send it to?
There you go. You send it right to the house. I was an ice bath guy, but I could never go past the waist. I'm like, man, this is just – but I'd stay in there for my 15, 20 minutes, and then I tried cryo, and I would agree with you. It is the revolutionary. It allows you to shrink it down in a time. It's shock factor, but if I only got to be in there 2 to 4 minutes, I'm in and out, baby.
Well, what's funny is that I was talking to one of the teams that was getting one. The team manager, one of the biggest reasons they wanted to put a cryo chamber in instead of an ice bath is, number one, their staff had to set the ice baths up, and then the players were complaining the whole 20 minutes. Yeah, right. And just it's like bitching and moaning, and so they said, this is easy. It's 3 minutes in and out. You can get a lot of players in an hour, and you really don't have to. By the time they're in there, they're already out. And you did the same thing. Yeah. The cool part about our machine, what we kind of reinvented in the cryo world, is we take a lot of data and stats. So we have a pulse oximeter that they wear, so we know their pulse throughout the session. We know their pulse oximetry, thermal imaging, so we can see their real-time skin temperature while you're in the machine. So, realistically, the better the session, the colder your skin temp's going to get. And so you're right around like 47 to 49 degrees is a very good session.
Oh, boy.
Skin temp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's chilly, but it's only 3 minutes, so it's like a shock value and, a mind over matter, I suppose.
There you go. Moving that blood around, reducing that inflammation. Keith, we really do appreciate the time. I think it's fascinating stuff. And Doug, this is where sports and medicine and different ways to think, different ways to improve, different ways to get back on the court. Like I said, that's
prehabilitation.
Prehab, yeah.
That's right.
I mean, we've joked about this in other elements, but performance enhancing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
No doubt.
It's legal.
Keep you, and help you stay on the court, field, pitch, whatever it is.
And I'm sure trainers, especially at schools, are like, yes, I get it. The ice, and it's so cold. Well, yeah, this is cold too.
No doubt.
But the quicker, and I think everybody can do that in their life. Like, okay, it's going to be difficult for 3 to 4 minutes, but then I'm done, and I'm going to feel better.
So at Arco, when we built the practice facility in the back room, they had a hot tub, ice bath, and a pool that it was one of those pools that you could swim in, but you didn't move.
Right.
And the ice bath, we had this guy, I don't know what year it was, his name, big dude, like 7'2", just big man. His name was Garth. I can't remember. And I'm like up to, almost to my waist, and I'm just letting my legs go, sitting there, and he just comes just right down to the neck.
Cannonball!
Boom. And he's just talking to me. Not like...
Just comfortable.
Just, yeah,
like it was another day.
I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you, big fella? Ugh. Can't do it, man.
Yeah.
But listen, he's correct. After I'd get out of that, let's go, baby. I'm ready to do it again.
Let's play another practice,
yes,
another game.
Sir.
Wow, interesting stuff. We just thought we'd get a little more perspective on that. I thought that was pretty cool. And that's some of the things that, honestly, Clay, DeMarcus, KD, these guys, recovery, that's what it's about to get back out on the court.